What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Caleb, and thank you so much for checking this out. Hope you're all doing great and having an amazing day. It's actually nice out here in Michigan for once, finally getting over that winter, and I hope you are all doing great considering this weird, awkward, and kind of tragic time we've been in with everything. So, without further ado, I was driving around yesterday in my Focus behind me. For some of you OG subscribers, you know that I've had this car for, I would say, about, coming up on a year now almost, and I bought it at an auction. It was a charity car. I bought it, it had 176,000 miles on it when I bought it, and it was a pretty clean car for what it was, but it needed a tiny bit of work. All right, so I'm gonna step inside the car here because it was getting kind of windy outside, and I didn't really want to get all that interference with the mic on this camera. But it was kind of in a little bit of rough shape. It was just basically just very dirty. It needed a solid cleaning, and that's what I did. I went through the whole car, gave it a solid cleaning, fixed a few little rust spots here and there. But overall, I got out of this car for it was an $800 to purchase the vehicle. And then with, new license plate, title, registration, fees, everything, I was out the door, left the lot with $1,200. So it was a really inexpensive car for what it was. And I purchased it because I wanted a daily. And it was practical at the time, and it still is practical to own this car. And I'm going to tell you why everybody should own a $1,000 car. So there are many, many pros to owning a cheap, inexpensive car. Now, to start off at number one, if a lot of you that watch this channel are car enthusiasts, so you spent a lot of money on a nice car that you don't want to necessarily drive every day to work, back and forth, or maybe school, and you want to keep the miles down, chances are, a cheap daily will be a great alternative to that. Miles can put a huge strain on your luxury or expensive car, and they can really decrease the value of it. 1 mile on average will cost about 8 cents in depreciation, which is a heck of a lot considering some people drive, 10, 20, even 30,000 miles a year just in their car. And if you can have something that's already inexpensive, you're saving a ton of money on that depreciation cost. Just to add a little bit of reference for you, 50,000 miles on a vehicle, which is, I'd say, about a year or two of driving, that's going to cost about $4,000 on average in depreciation, and that price is going to go up depending on how luxury or how nice the car is. So, $4,000 to save in depreciation, you're only spending $1,000 on a car. So, it's easy math. Another pro about having a $1,000 car is the fact that you're going to be saving a lot of money on gas. A lot of cars out there that are good cars to buy, and I'll go over that kind of in a little bit, that are nicer for $1,000, around that area, are going to be your economy cars that were not crazy expensive to begin with. And when automakers sell economy cars, they sell them with a perk of that is being low or being good on gas mileage. So if you're buying like a Nissan Versa or a Honda Civic or like this Ford Focus, these are all economy cars that they weren't crazy expensive to begin with, and a selling point of that was the fact that they had great gas mileage. Right now, I get about 32 miles to the gallon, which is excellent. I mean, considering the fact that the Mustang and the Vet get half that, that's great, and it actually does save me. I did a video a long time ago about how much it saves me to actually own this car, and I came out to a number between $800 and $900 a year, considering I use this as like a daily driver, just on the gas mileage alone. Another thing you have to take into account is a lot of people in their nicer vehicle, if they want something cheap, they're putting premium gasoline in their vehicles, so you have that upcharge on the gasoline as well, not just the miles per gallon. So like I mentioned, if you are interested in getting a cheap car, something right now that you can purchase, I would recommend to look at economy cars from about 10 years ago, something like a Nissan Versa, Honda Civic. I would recommend staying away from a Ford Focus unless you get a manual. I love this car, it is a manual, but about 10 years ago, there was a huge problem with the transmissions, in a Ford Focus. I don't want you to have, you know, more problems than you have benefits from this. But they're really not that hard to find if you just look. You can get a nice, cheap, inexpensive car that's not really that bad for $1,000, maybe $2,000. So I can comfortably say that this is the best car investment I have ever made. I love this thing to death. I'm gonna drive it to the ground. I've only put about 9,000 miles on it. And, you know, after everything, I had one repair job I did on it, but after that, I'm still, like, I can still probably sell this car and not take much of a hit financially. And that's what I love about it. And especially the fact that, one, it's a manual. I was looking along for a while for something that was nice, but also a manual. I really wanted my first car, my first manual, and I love it to death. It's so much fun to drive. And I love the fact that I just don't have to really worry about it. Like, there's a few rust spots on the bottom of the car. You know, the frame's not rusted out or anything, but, you know, it's no big deal. I remember walking up to my vehicle one day, maybe a couple months after I bought it, and I saw a big scratch on the side. And I was like, man, like, I don't remember if that was there before. Like, I don't remember, because there's a few marks on this car, you know, a few dings and nicks, but I was like, whatever, dude. I mean, did somebody hit me? Maybe, I don't know. Who cares? Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's $1,000 car. This is why I bought it, is so that I can have something that I can just drive around. It's good on gas mileage. And, you know, I don't really have to worry about this car. You know, I went on a tiny road trip to Canada a couple weeks ago, before this whole virus kind of hit the fan, you know, to visit with some friends. You know, I packed 5 people in here, well, including myself. We drove to Canada, you know, visited some family that my buddy had out there. And, you know, it was just a great time. I didn't have to worry about it. you know, just buzz around in it. It's an amazing, great car. So if I were to recommend you to look for any specific type of inexpensive car that's going to be around $1,000, I would recommend that you stay away from older luxury brands, just because of the fact that they're more expensive to fix, and the mechanical knowledge might not, or it is more expensive to purchase. So, like, when I purchased this Ford Focus, it was so easy and cheap to fix, because there's a million of these on the road. Like, there's parts coming out of my ears for these things. Like it's so plentiful. It's such a basic common car that there's so much. It's not like rare or special to the point that it's expensive to fix or anything like that. So I would look for something that there's a lot of them. You might have to clean it up a tiny bit, but I mean, it's still going to be a great car. All I did was I gave this thing a solid detail, which if I were to do it again, I would have just purchased a detail, because it was kind of a pain to clean this whole thing. It was very, very, very dirty. But if I were to do it all again, I would have done that. But, you know, I give it a good solid wash, like all over the place, solid detail, and I mean, that was it. That's all it took. So it's a great economic benefit. I would highly recommend getting just a cheap car that you can just buzz around in. I'm going to keep this thing till it dies, and it's going to save me money along the way every single mile that I drive. So just wanted to add this. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please hit subscribe and like, comment. I will be sure to hit you back. See you all in the next video, and have a great day.